The secret to ceiling carving is that you have to stick to the ceiling, which means that you have to initiate the carve as you hit the ceiling. So how do you initiate a carve? If you've seen my other carving tutorial, you'll be familiar with this blue arrow, and I want you to imagine this blue arrow always pointing in the direction that you're moving. Not the direction that you're looking, the direction that you're moving. So on the ground, to initiate a carve, you have to move your hand all the way around until it touches the base of this arrow, and that's the point at which you will carve. Now when you're carving on the ground, you have all the time in the world to get to the base of the arrow because gravity is holding you on the ground. But if you want to start a carve right away, you need to have your hand at or past the base of that arrow. Now for all of these carves, I have been moving my hand around my body just to demonstrate how that arrow works. But as a general rule, what you actually want to do is put your hand at the base of that arrow and then just spin in a circle, and this will allow you to carve in full 360s. So what this means for ceiling carving is that as you hit the ceiling, your hand needs to be pushing against the base of that arrow. So the easiest way to get your first ceiling carve is just to continue facing forward and just focus on pushing your hand against the base of that arrow as you hit the ceiling. And technically that is a ceiling carve, but it's not necessarily the most useful version of a ceiling carve. So here we need to apply the second part where we put our hand at the base of the arrow and actually just spin our body. Okay, so I'm hoping with that information you are now initiating a carve on the ceiling, but what you might be noticing is that you're falling off the ceiling relatively quickly. So here's how we're going to fix that. Take your offhand and use your thrusters to fly up to the ceiling and just let your head hit the ceiling. Now take the hand that you're going to carve with, stick it straight out to your side, and raise it until it pushes your head off of the ceiling. This is the position that you want your hand to start in when you start your ceiling carve. And then in order to stay on the ceiling longer, as you turn, you need to slowly raise your arm so that your hand stays on the ceiling. And from here, it's just a matter of getting used to the speed at which you need to raise your hand and controlling the speed that you're turning. One thing to note is that you cannot carve on your tips of your fingers. So one thing that I ran into when I first started learning is that as I would raise my hand, I would start to point my fingers at the ceiling, and that will cause you to fall off. So make sure that as you're carving, you either have your wrist bent like this, so this is on the ceiling, like this, so this stays on the ceiling, like this, so this stays on the ceiling. Technically you can do this, but I don't know that you want to.